Boy, it's gonna be one of those live streams, and I don't blame you if you don't want to tune in. I don't blame you at all because usually I'm doing either topics on Umar, or I'm doing topics on Jasmine, I'm doing topics on, but this is something that I cannot bear to not stay silent on. Let me find a couple of things so y'all can come on in. Let me see. Let me see. Um, let's see if I can find it though. Because I know they were talking about it the other day. Okay. All right. I think this one's it.
The reason why I
Let me see. Let me see. Okay. This is it. This is it. This is it. All right. Like I said, I don't blame you if you don't want to pay attention to what is going on right now. I don't blame you. But we got to talk about it because apparently it's getting on my nerves. Okay. Right now, in these times, the topic is very vague, but it's interesting, right? Black culture. We've been talking about black cultures for years and years and years. What's this? What's that? What's ours? What's not ours? It's a thing. It's been a trend. It's been a trend for, I would say, for thousands and thousands of years. We've been talking about the same old common copy thing for many, many years, right? What's ours, what's not ours, what's what we control, what we own and control, right? Suddenly, you get people from other countries coming up through here, people from parts of Africa, people from Jamaica, people from Haiti. You get these certain amount of people, and they hold a mirror up to your face, and if you realize, it's like wow, I didn't know all this, and so we ended up doing our research. We ended up doing our research on many things. We ended up doing research on the on the biblical side of the game, even though the biblical, the Bible, the original parts of the Bible were stolen from Africa. We realized that the depictions of Imhotep's fate or nose being carved out. We all know who did that. That was Napoleon. And then coming back to America, when it comes to rap music, when it comes to food, when it comes to dance, when it comes to all types of other cultures, we did all those things. The movies, we did those things, right? Or did we do them? Right now, there's an argument. There's an argument being made about what Black culture truly is. And if we're not involving our brothers and sisters on the other side of the sticks, then it's not culture. Sirs, get that FBA shit out your mind. If it's not our brothers and sisters on the other side of the sticks, the people who do look like us but speak a different language, who don't speak this dummy English, we have gotten so attached to something that the white man has been feeding us for ever since we came over here. We don't. Most of us don't like reading into our history. All we do is just Google shit. That's all the fuck we do. It's just Google shit. Now, some need to come back to reality. Some of you motherfuckers need to just come to reality. So, sir, what do we systematically own and control? Systematically own and control in this country. And so far, I haven't gotten an answer yet. Oh, we got this person, we got that. We got 2 Chainz owning 100% of his masters. That's an individual. Rihanna came out with her own perfume. Created by Asians, but okay. That's just one person. I'm talking about what do we systematically own and control. And I believe Umar Ifi and others have stated this too. Now, I'm not gonna be here for very long, but I'm just gonna play a clip from Lapeef, and I hate, and I truly hate doing this, and I truly hate the network, because as far as I'm concerned, you're adding in a whole bunch of personalities that is just mixed up. And when you add a whole bunch of personalities that are just mixed up, you get nothing but controversy. I mean, you may have one, possibly maybe 2 people who actually want to talk it out. But thus far, it just turns into a clusterfuck. Oh, I got it on mute.
Europe, underdeveloped Africa, the colonization happened to them too. And did they bounce back from it? Are they acting very similarly to people that have been conquered? And so when we assess them, when he gave us all the information, it goes directly into the person on the clip's worldview point, you know? So I thought that information was valuable, even though it can be salacious depending on the ears hearing it.
DJ, can I thank you for acknowledging that? I really appreciate that, because when I was speaking the facts. Talked about the population of Benin, their major export crop, their political history, their accomplishment as being one of the first democracies in Africa, but now destabilized due to a coup. Everything I spoke about was factual, which if you juxtapose that to what Frank said, it was anecdotal at best. And so I don't even think that Pretty thought that what I was saying was disparaging. I think that's not what she thought. That's how she felt. Because as you mentioned, everything I said was based on the data. And then I gave the data on the African-American side, meaning if we were comparing Black Americans as a nation to Benin, we'd find that by far we'd be a superior nation in terms of population, cultural influence, spending power, and much else. I yield the floor and I thank you.
Indeed, but go ahead, True, because I think that is a response to you, kind of True. And I know Pretty wanted to respond to you as well, but I'm not sure if she did. But go ahead, True, and then Pretty, you could go, and then let's get Luck and Bo. Bo, where you come from? What's up? If you don't mind, just trying to go in order. Okay, Luck took a nap. Bo, what's popping?
Oh, perfect. Hold on.
I don't understand why Africans would prefer to tell their own, to tell our story instead of their own story, unless there's something more attractive. Unless there's something.
This is Yvette Cornell. No. Yvette Cornell gets on my last effing nerve, but I would much prefer listen to her versus all these other people from FBA, because it's just one person. But let's see what she says.
More liberating, unless there's something more courageous about our story than your story. Why are y'all on this app faking? to be Negroes and talking about Negro history unless there's something about our story that you find more moving, right? That gets more traction, that gets more attention than your story. Because Barack Obama didn't get no attention by being Kenyan and white. Barack Obama didn't get no attention by doing that. Barack Obama got attention by mimicking the cadence of MLK, right? By faking a Southern church accent, by faking a Southern Negro accent. He didn't bring nothing from Kenya into that. There was nothing Kenyan.
I don't know what she's speaking. First of all, Barack Obama came in with the intentions of being an American. He ain't had no intentions of being Kenyan, because if he did, he would accept his lineage. Not once did I hear Barack mention his lineage. Not once. Not one time. Maybe in his book. I didn't read his book, but either way. And doesn't he have a white mom? That would be the reason why.
About what he used to get the ADOS vote. When he went into that church and he faked that accent, he faked the Negro accent. So maybe in this country there is something, and maybe around the world there is something about us that you find attractive. There's something about us that moves souls. That's what the church is about. That's what the...
But you voted for him. If he was faking it, then you was sniffing it real hard, just like you sniff shit. You was sniffing the shit real hard, and you got to that ballot box and you voted Barack as president. Not once, but twice. So what's the problem?
ADOS church in this country has always been about maybe. You need to get honest about what it is about us that is so attractive to people around the world, and why you don't get as much traction when you do stuff based on your own country. And instead of just doing this Twitter stuff, maybe you need to get some of that in you and do the stuff you need to do in your own country. Because y'all have dictators, y'all have despots, just like we got them over here.
Whoa. Why all the madness all of a sudden? Barack Obama ain't president anymore. So why all of a sudden, why all the venomous? Why all the venomacy? Why? Oh, because he was born on an island. You just now come to realize that, or you realize that you just said, oh, let's just see what he does as senator. Let's see what he does as president, as the leader of the Kinasino, whatever. But why all the venomous all of a sudden? You're just now figuring out that his father was a Kenyan, and you're just now figuring, and his mother was white. You're just now figuring that out, and he happened to live in that part of Chicago. Really? Y'all have a very funny way of analyzing people when they first come in. You have a very bad way of analyzing people. You should have done that from the jump, and he would have never gotten to be president. But there was something about him that you liked, and then all of a sudden, poof.
Maybe there's something you can learn instead of something you can just grift from. Maybe. I mean, maybe. That is something that you need to give serious consideration to. And don't keep telling me that, well, Kenyan is black and it's all the same. We don't do flat blackness around here, and we ain't did it in a long time. That stuff is over with. We don't do that stuff no more. We understand it's different.
So if it's not black, then what is it? I think we've gotten to the point in this country, in this day and age, where the life is being the I think black folks have gotten to the point, and it's basically in this country, where the um I don't know if it's forgiveness. I don't know if it's, patience. I don't really know what it is, but there's something, it's internally within us to know who we are. It's being sucked out of us. It's being sucked out of us dry because of possibly, maybe, hey, it's possibly maybe one or maybe two individuals who come from these different countries who do look like us, by the way, but they just speak a totally different language. And these people, mind you, they have a sense of ego, right? But you're going to lump that one or maybe two, or let's just say 10 or 20. That ain't even 1%. Last time I checked, immigrants in this country, I would say, not including Africans or Jamaicans. I'm not talking about Hispanics. I'm not talking about Mexicans. I'm not talking about Indian. I'm not talking about none of those other people. I'm just talking about our specific culture right here. They make up, I don't know, my math sucks, like, let's just say 4%, 3, maybe 4%. It's not like a gathering of people, but we don't mind going over there. And even over there, they look confused. They're like, why do y'all look angry? You're coming into our house, which is actually your house, but you see a problem with that. My mother, not my mother, my aunt from my dad's side has been to Ghana dozens and dozens of times. Dozens and dozens of times. Hadn't had not one issue. She had to do business over there, but they welcomed her with open arms, with no issue at all. When I was living with at the time when I was living over there where I used to live, my neighbors were part Haitian, part Jamaican, and they spoke Creole and everything. I lived with them for 9 years. Oh, I was above, they were below. I lived with them for 9 years. I shared the story before. I had no issue, none whatsoever. They didn't look down on me. They didn't shame me. They invited me in. They fed me. I spoke with my daughter played with their daughter. I spoke with their oldest son. Dropped them off to school. We good. No, what we were talking about the whole culture thing again. And right now, Sharon Bracey's making it a thing. Oh, I guess it's just the attention. It's like, whatever. I mean, it's your channel. You do your thing. But he wants to make it as if other people are trying to say we don't have control of our own culture. And he believes we do. But I say we don't. Because if we do, what do we systematically own and control? There is part of the 1% who have, let's just say, for music's sake, took him back their masters, took him back 100% of their masters. But the rest of them, and let's not forget, if it wasn't for people like MC Hammer, who was selling CDs and shit, or tapes. I don't know if CDs were back then. I'm not sure, but he was selling music out of the trunk of his car and was getting thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But he gave, and go to Ice Cube's "Be True to the Game" song. I'll flow it for you. And this is the biggest mistake that Mr. Stanley, aka MC Hammer, ever made. Even though he was generous, he was very, very generous, a very, very generous man, and was trying to, feed his people out of Oaktown, Oakland, California. I get it. I get that. I get it. But not all skin folk is kinfolk, because once that money dries up, you gonna see those people. You gonna see less of those people, and we all seen it. He had dancers up the wazoo. He had a band. He had everything. He had everything and everyone, but including his wife and his children. But at the end of the day, when that money dried up and he had to file for bankruptcy and he had to get rid of all those cars and he had to get rid of that house, who was standing next to him? His wife and his children. And he ended up going on the Christian network. So people should learn from him. Is he a black American? Absolutely. But I'm talking about what we systematically own and control in this country, and we don't own shit. Where are our grocery stores? Where are our distribution networks? Disney is owned by who? Disney is owned by who? Who was Walt Disney? Who was Walt Disney? A racist bastard. But yet, he made and created something that made everybody laugh and enjoy and all this other shit. Then out came the movies. Sharon thinks that just because Black Panther arose and became this significant thing, and Icon was made by, I think it was Myth or Mind Comics or something like that, but was later bought off because the owner had a heart attack. The black owner had a heart attack and he passed away. And now who owns and controls those specific characters? I'm talking about your icons, your Static Shocks, your black lightnings. Who owns and controls all that?
We understand in ways that it doesn't resonate here.
All right, go ahead, Sweeney. Introduce this to us.
Oh, there's nothing to introduce. I think everything she said speaks for itself. I'm not about to sit here and try to defend Black culture to nobody who ain't us. Who the fuck are y'all? Who the fuck is he? For me to tell you anything about what's going on over here, talk about your own shit. I don't get why every conversation got to be surrounded about what we do. Do your own shit. Talk about your own shit. Talk about your own problems. Why are y'all always talking about what we got going on over here?
Simply put, Sweeney, because they're over here. I don't fucking get this, man. Some of these people, do you not understand and realize that your people Your ancestors, do you know your family tree? I bet most of you Negroes don't even know your fucking family tree. When we were spread all across the diaspora. We were spread all over, spread over here, spread all over there. Spread in Brazil, spread in Jamaica, spread in Haiti, spread in Britain, spread in England. We were spread all fucking everywhere. America was not what you thought it was. It wasn't even America. It wasn't even the Americas. You had 13 colonies. 13 colonies. They're considered states. And you had some bum in Christopher Columbus claiming that he discovered America. Even though there were Europeans who migrated into the country before Christopher Columbus because their country was dying off through famine and disease. But now, I don't think people don't realize that your people were being brought into this country either through chains and whips, chains and stuff like that. Not everybody. But if you look up your family tree, you want to know who was a free black and who wasn't. Or, excuse me, African. Who was a free African and who wasn't. But people are stuck in the 1990s. People are stuck in the 90s. And they're just now they're just now ciphering all the way back to the 1800s. And even though they can trace it farther, they can trace their family lineages farther than that, they're more focused on who their family was back then in the 1800s. That's it. We had this land. We had this. We owned and controlled this. We built this. So because of 2, maybe 3 knuckleheads come up in here and I get it. I totally get it. But you don't have to shit on the whole culture. Believe it or not, they are yours. And we are theirs, believe it or not, and without them, you die. It's the same conversation when you have with black women. You don't even like your black women. I'm just gonna say it. You hate black women. Some of you, not all of you. You hate black women. It's the same deal. And without them, you die. Without your black women, without black culture, you perish. For he do not seek knowledge perishes. He who does not seek the wisdom perishes. You just basically hate you. Because Africa has their own. Shouts out, you know what? Shouts out to Abraham Taribe and the Burkina Faso. He's building some shit over there. Constantly building some shit over there. Owning and controlling shit over there. Getting shit done. Didn't he kick out Bill Gates? He kicked the fuck out of Bill Gates anyway for trying to poison the waters over there, poison the land over there. He said, "Get the fuck out." What is he doing? What did he do with the LGBTQ HIV community over there? He said, "Ain't none of that happening over here. Ain't none of that shit happening over here." So he's doing the damn thing. What the fuck are we doing over here? Not a goddamn thing but complaining. It's only a very, very small percentage of us only controlling our masters, only controlling the music, the movie industry. Even though Tyler Perry, good for him, owned his own studio, you know how he did all that? He had to he put himself in a dress, which I don't condone, but you got to do what you got to do, right? But the one ultimate sin that he did was take people, slavery, take people from the 1800s, take them out, clean them up, put them back out there, and look what we got. The haves and the have-nots are consistent of what? Black folks and white folks not getting along with each other. Ooh, whoop-dee-doo. The butler. Ooh, whoop-dee-doo. Like we haven't seen this thousands and thousands and thousands of times. But even though we don't fund Nate Parker because he came out with the one movie, Birth of a Nation. He came out with Birth of a Nation, but we did not want to back him and fund that man. Even though he's married to a white woman. He absolutely came out with the one movie that all of us should have saw. I showed that to my daughter. That is us. All that time, even though Tyler Perry owns his own studio, where did he get? Was his mindset stating, I'm going to go ahead and make the money and just please everybody? Or was his mindset of, I'm going to ignore what the Jews, what their agenda for me has for me, excuse me. I'm going to ignore the agenda that the Jews have for me. Because I can't come out with the absolute truth. I can't come out with the absolute truth of what's been happening to us as a people. But what I can do is recycle the same garbage ass bullshit each and every single time. And they'll feed into it. Not me. I stopped watching Tyler Perry movies. I stopped watching his shows. I tried to cling on to the haves and the have-nots. As We Pray or some other, I don't know. It had China McLaren in it or something. I don't know. My three daughters. I don't look at Tyler Perry movies, so I can't name them. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. A Family That Prays. That's the one with The Family That Prays. That has Sanaa Lathan in it, where she's like, "That's my Cartwright," and homeboy slapped the dog mess out of her. I wouldn't slap Sanaa Lathan like that. I'll probably kick her in the ass like. But my point is, you shitting on a whole culture. You're shitting on a whole culture because one or two people put a bug in your ear, and now all of a sudden you need to stop talking about us. Who is us? Do you even know who you are?
Leave us the fuck alone. That dude, that shit was ignorant, and you can tell he was ignorant. Shout out to one of the people in the chat. They brought up the fact that he later on in that conversation, he said something about how white people don't form like Voltron. That's how I know you don't know shit about this country. Because white people form like Voltron all the time in this country.
They do.
I would invite you to read a book called How the Irish Became White. How the Latinos became white.
Everybody knows that. So it's through your status. Everybody fucking knows that. It doesn't take a book to tell. It doesn't take a book to tell me how the Irish became white, how the Italians, the Indians, how the China people, how people who Hispanics, the Hispanics don't even claim their Africanity, because when it comes to that piece of paper, when it comes to your status, what do you put, black or white? Do you put African American or do you put white American? They are claimed as white American. Believe it or not. It doesn't take a book. Hell, I read plenty of books. It doesn't take all that.
Italians became white.
The Chinese and Japanese. Huh?
They come together like Voltron all the time. And you know who they always come together like Voltron against? It always seems like they come together like Voltron against us.
And I don't know if he was addressing the white folks or Europeans. I don't know if he was addressing that. But just in case, did you think they were going to side with you? I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
As long as you leave them Negroes over there alone, we'll fuck with you. Y'all know that was a part of the GI Bill? Did y'all know that was a part of that was ingrained in the FHA Housing Act when they had people building developments and they told them that as you can get government money just so as long as you don't sell to black people?
And yet we owned and controlled our own housing after 1865. After 1865, we had housing, we had businesses, until white people burned them up. And then there was a massacre. There was a massacre of black people dying and getting murdered at the hands of white people, all because of he say, she say. We all know about the Tulsa, Oklahomas. We all know about the Rosewoods, and so far and beyond, and so forth. But still to this day, we have grown stronger. We have grown smarter. And yet we don't want to build shit because we have a disagreement here and there. Fuck all that. Agree to disagree with me when we build our establishments. Or we buy a piece of property. The fuck pieces of property, we buy land. Because without the land, we can't own and control anything. Without the land, we can't build upon, we can't build upon anything. We can't claim it. Although, we're going to have to pay taxes out the wazoo, it's still ours. If you buy property, you're going to have to pay taxes. If you buy land, you're going to have to pay taxes. Which I do agree. Why are we... If you ever mention reparations again, it should be, why are we paying taxes? We shouldn't have to pay any type of tax for the next 10 years. But that ain't gonna fucking fly with them. This is the reason why we say if we ain't getting land, I don't want a cash payment. I want land, ownership of land. Once we get that, we're good. But you know what happens after that? You always get that one person that comes up on the land and starts infiltrating. Some of us haven't learned our lessons. Some of us just, it's just all about the money. Just give me some money and I'm good. Just give me money and I'm good. No. Because money is devalued. Look at the situation in other countries where you have a total of six. I can't name them all. One of them is Africa. One of them is Russia. And the other one is, I think, somewhere in Europe. I don't know. But there are three others. Well, I can't believe I even mentioned three. But these individuals, these ambassadors, don't want paper anymore. They don't want the paper. They don't want anything in print. What they do want is what America, the Americans have until Nixon came along and changed it to paper. And now that same paper, who has your Benjamin Franklins, your Hamiltons, your George Washingtons, they don't have those anymore. They don't want those anymore. They want your gold, your silver, your bronze. Hell, I don't know why, but even Bitcoin is still popular, even though it's just up and down, up and down, up and down. And even Trump made it a thing. That's why people claim to Trump so much, because he made Bitcoin popular. But again, going back to us, if we were owning and controlling some shit, and we realize that Africa is a part of us, is a part of the culture, is a part. If it wasn't for Africa, if it wasn't for certain things in Africa, we wouldn't have certain things like your biblical scriptures, which we all know came from the coffin text. We wouldn't have dance. Excuse me. We wouldn't have dance. You know, all that twerking and stuff that women be doing. Contribute that to them. Contribute that to Sarah Bartman. But we're always talking about the now, the now, the now, the now. Fuck the now, because you don't own anything now. You don't own anything. Rihanna, she owns her own. She's a $1 billion queen. She makes her own lip gloss. Who made the lip gloss? Or better yet, who owns and controls her? The Jews. Who owns and controls Jay-Z? The Jews. Who owns and controls Beyonce? The Jews. Who owns and controls almost every single fucking rapper? 90% of your fucking rap artists? The Jews. Who is taken over your culture ever since? Who do you praise the most? Eminem. Stop playing with me, man.
They then told them if a white person bought the house, they can't even resell it to black people.
It still doesn't speak to the culture. I really don't understand how just because this man made his commentary, I'm lost. I'm really trying to be edified and educated. What does that have to do amongst Americans? I think Shan said it about 20 minutes ago. If we were to ask what the culture is, we would have different answers and different responses. To me, that's what I heard.
The culture is you. Why are we not getting this? The culture is what you create. The culture is what you own and control. That's the culture. If we take a piece of gum, we own. If we take and we invent gum, we own gum. Toothpicks, a chair. A chair is not a chair. But we've taken the things that we have owned and controlled for so long, and we have given it away, or it was stolen from us. Now the people who created the whole Beal sauce thing, it was a black man who created the actual original sauce that's now, which is now the original, not Beal sauce. What am I thinking? I forgot what type of sauce it was, but the first original barbecue sauce was created by a black man, but because he had some quote unquote, he went to jail per se, and then he came back, his restaurant wasn't his restaurant anymore, and that particular barbecue sauce was now owned, snatched up by a white man. There is a young man, I'm gonna call him the diaspora. I'm gonna have to put his link in the description box. I don't have to put in his link in the post. And I want you to follow this particular young man who knows any and everything about what has been created by our people and has been snatched up by white people. Snatched up through death or by contract. If you are willing to sign a contract for millions and millions of dollars, just like AKA BET, when you sign that contract and they give you millions and millions of dollars, which ain't worth anything, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the paper it's printed on. But y'all got it.
Not the fact that he's African, not the fact that their country sucks.
True. Why does it matter?
Why does what matter?
Why does it matter? Who the heck? Why do we have to come to him and tell and define what our culture is to somebody that is not of it? We don't have to explain shit to him.
What?
Why do we have to have a conversation about black culture? We know what we do. We know how we move. I know that there ain't a city in this country that I can't go to that I don't understand the people in that city. Not one. I don't care if I'm going to Memphis, LA, Chicago, Jackson, Mississippi, New Orleans. It doesn't matter what city I go to. I know the people in that city. I can communicate with them. I can talk to them. And we can nearly have almost identical ideology. Why is it that we have to explain to this man in the world what our culture is?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Even though I just got here, so I don't know the video. Why is it so defensive for us to just answer a question? I think that if people want to know, maybe it's because looking at us as a collective, they can't put their finger on it.
Who cares?
We should care, though. We should care that we are not identified as something that we can get along with. Why are we so defensive to identify ourselves?
Why do we care? Why should we care?
Why don't you care?
Because it ain't their business.
But it's our business, and we want to be on the same page.
I don't have to discuss our business with them.
I'm Lucky Marie. I mean, I never had an issue with Lucky Marie, and I was the one speaking, by the way. I have no problems with Lucky Marie. She's from my city. I mean, I don't deal with any of the issues that or problems or issues or the success that she may have, but I mean, big ups to her. She said something that was proper. She said, "Why can't we just have the conversation?" But you want to have a conversation each and every single day, right? You want to instead of you want to just dog walk people. How would you feel if one of these big ass Africans come up in droves and start dog walking y'all motherfuckers over here? What the hell's wrong with y'all? But y'all want to have the conversations online, right? Stupid.
I don't have to check your mic. Just make sure it's in. Go ahead, Luck.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Luck.
Can y'all hear me
No,
now?
I just was answering because I
Can you hear
can
me now?
understand.
Yeah, it's good now. Go ahead, Luck. You got it.
I can understand that, but I was just having a different conversation because I agree with True, the fact that we can't define it. So if we're all black here, always going back and forth, passing blame on various things to keep us further apart, we should at least.
They ain't been on code for no damn 10 years. They don't even know what code is. Again, going back to MC Hammer. MC Hammer did the absolute right thing from the beginning. From the beginning. We don't seem to take what he did from the beginning and emulate it throughout the years. We don't take what MC Hammer or what other people did and sell your shit out the trunk of your car. Mexicans are coming into the country and emulating what black people are doing. And they've been doing it for hundreds of years. Selling oranges, washing cars. Now they own cars. They own car lots. They own car washes. The fuck? They own car washes. They are specifically doing what black people did back in those days, and then all of a sudden, we don't like to emulate that anymore. All of a sudden, Africans coming into the country, and a few of them. Again, I get it. But if you look yourself in the mirror, you know what you're doing right now? Do you know what the fuck you're doing right now? And it's so goddamn dangerous. Do you know what you're doing right now? You're separating yourselves. You're splitting yourself down the middle. And what you're doing is one of these days, and you're doing what the conservatives are doing. You're saying Trump or whoever's in office, whoever owns and controls this fucking country, because you don't. You're basically saying, I give up. You're basically saying, I give up. What can you do for me because you're the man in power? Not come together as one collective, because you don't want to do that. No matter if this person speaks Creole, no matter if this person speaks Igbo, it doesn't even matter anymore. But you don't want to have the conversation. All you want to do is belittle. Oh, they belittle us. I've had no issues thus far with any immigrant, whether you're African or Jamaican or Haitian. I got Haitian friends. We may not speak all the time, but I've lived with them for years. No issues. No issues. We don't even like talking about things like that. What the fuck for? We're living with it. We're living next to each other. The fuck?
least be able to, when somebody come in here that's an other, to question us, we should be able to all stand on one accord and say what we are. The fact that we can't, our first response shouldn't be defensive because we can't unify and
No, but I have read the book, The Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. Good book.
respond correctly. That shows ignorance to me.
What happened to the peace train? I don't
Hey,
know.
Bo has said something.
I have no idea.
That I'm now this thing I am ignorant in.
I have no.
Are like weaves and stuff like that? Is that Black culture? Like, is that accepted as Black culture?
Hair
Like
is
particularly like the weave stuff, you know, because that was a point of contention. Is that defined as a part of Black culture? Like wearing, whether it be the weave or the eyelashes, like is that considered a part of Black culture?
It's a part of culture. How you groom yourself is a part of culture. Grooming is culture. Black culture, I mean, when it comes to cornrows, braids, speed-ins, just all of the different styles that Black women do, the fact that you can't really find a picture of us 10 years apart with the same hairstyle, that's a part of our culture. It's a part of how we shift ourselves. It's a part of our grooming practices. So I guess if you want to ask, are eyelashes Black culture? That really...
That's another thing. Thank you for putting that in the chat. That's another thing. All these different religions come from one continent. Christianity coming from Africa. The baptisms, the everything. If you look in certain parts of, say, Northern Africa, Morocco, people from Morocco, people from the Roccoos, the Moors, and such. And Sharon had the nerve to say that the Moors are not our culture. Nigga, if you don't, you see, almost made me slip. The Moors are your culture, nigga. As a matter of fact, you are the Moors. Like it, love it, hate it, wipe your ass with it. You are a fucking Moor. Because you're standing on something precious that Black people have been hanging on to for years. But you ain't convinced.
really sounds myopic, but is grooming how we groom ourselves Black culture? Yeah.
Okay, so this will be a yes or no question, because I agree with grooming. I'm talking about weave specifically. Are you saying yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other ladies, because I don't wear weave. My daughters don't wear weave, just in terms of my prescriptions. But would you guys consider that a part of Black culture, like the weave and the hair and all that?
Why are we talking about hair? Hairs came from Indian head. All that hair that is being produced in shops, that came from an actual person's head. Like, are we really doing this? And you wondering why there's people get cancer from all that, but you don't know that because you have another person's hair on your head.
I could say it's been integrated into it, since wigs have a long history of being seen as a sign of being upper echelon. I think that's more a classist cultural symbol that we've carried into our current culture. Because if you think about it, a chick who goes and gets 30 inches and, it's in a way it's to flaunt that she has the money to spend on that hair. And I think it's just integrated as a sign of wealth. Just like we have a lot of things that have been integrated in.
Black women with blonde hair don't look like white women with blonde hair. It's thicker.
I mean, it's a broken version of English, but it's still something that we could speak to that specifically to us.
What language is that?
I mean, it's English.
You're talking about,
But that's
talk
the
about
same
AAVE, African American Vernacular English. The same way, for example,
I think I've heard, yes, when I came to this country in 1994, I had a debate on my campus about Ebonics.
Right.
Now,
Same thing.
Yeah. And somebody corrected me, and I think it was my professor, said, no, if you say Ebonics, there is no one collective Ebonics.
Correct.
You have to go into pockets. If the person is from the north, the south, the central, they created their own style around it. So I understand that part. That didn't even qualify as a subculture. So let me give you, Jamaicans don't have a culture. When you say the country Jamaica, no, there's no identifiable as a culture. But the Rastafarians have a culture. Now, let me explain what I mean by worldview. The Rastafarians' worldview is that men were put on earth to take care of nature. Okay? That wealth you have to create more than consume. So they live a frugal life. So politically, they are pacifists. They will never go to war. Socially, they're communal and what we call Epicurean. They believe getting high, eat some food, and have deep conversation is what life is about. And then religiously, they are Rastafarians. Hippies.
Bob Marley, Rastafari. And he has multiple sons by different baby mothers. They're Rastafari. And he was a hippie. Where do hippies come from? Jamaicans. Who are Jamaicans? Part of Africa. Jesus Christ.
Are the Western version of a Rastafarians. They also had a worldview. And that dictated their relationship with wealth. The hippies believe that humans were put on earth to create and consume, and that living in community and being frugal as to wearing the most inexpensive clothing and using things together is what life is all about. So it guided how you see them dress, where they shop from.
Yes, I just said that. Please pause. Oh, I thought that was for me. My bad. But yes. I just said that. Rastafari is Jamaican.
Why they marry on and on and on. That's what I mean by any society, if you want to understand them, it's the worldview. The Jews believe that.
Okay. So I think he just expounded on the earlier points, if I'm not mistaken, right, True? He kind of just further tried to clarify. I didn't hear anything new per se. Unless anybody missed something.
How do Black people, American Black people, not have a culture? I don't think nobody's saying that. I think I don't know. You have to expound your question a little bit, but I'll say this: Black people know what their culture is. They just want to leave they want the good parts and don't want to address the other parts. Like I said, for example, twerking, for the African dance, for example. You would call that what? Twerking, right? Where a woman takes her hips and she bounces her butt cheeks up, she's using her hips in African, but they do it in a more African ritual. It's more respectable that way. That's part of it, number one. Why do I keep getting... Hold on.
I may miss something. Go ahead, Pretty.
I'm lose my cool in this conversation. Very triggering. I just think it's an entire disregard. It's an entire disregard for everyone that's descendants of slavery. I think it's very audacious. But one thing he said that stood out to me was he compared Creole and said Haitians have a culture because they created a broken version of English in combination with Spanish. You could say the same thing about Jamaica that created a French in combination with Spanish. And Jamaicans created the same thing. And then especially if you go into, say, Louisiana, like there's a deep dialect. If you go into South Carolina, with the Gullah Geechee, there's a deep, strong dialect that is hard to understand for even some other Black Americans. People spoke about if you go to certain parts of the country, the AAVE sounds different, so that's indicative of a lack of culture. That's also not true, because when you're even in Haiti, if you go to Labadie versus Port-au-Prince, the dialects also sound different depending on where you are on that island. So none of the comparatives that he's making, like from Haiti to Jamaica to the US, makes sense, other than the fact that he clearly values what Haitians have done and has disregarded what anyone else has done.
Sweet, did you want to do the response to Luck?
Oh no, we can move on. I ain't going. I ain't going.
Watch the entire interview. I didn't just take the clips, right? There's a lot of context. What I took from it, and I think the start of their thing was Africans versus African Americans. I think that was the overall spirit of the conversation. And as he's inquiring, all four Americans have very little to give feedback to.
He said Hippies have a culture and not Black Americans.
Based on his opinion, I mean, whether you want to take that and run with it or not, that was his opinion. He was stating that from a worldview perspective, you can identify, and I think we've all been around hippies, we've all been around Rastafarians. You can identify what they may subscribe to based on belief system. So when we're looking at Black Americans, again, going back to the original question, what would you say would be that for us? And we can't really define it because we all have some level of introduction to life or how we carry that life. Like some of us are Christians, some of us are Catholic, some of us are Muslims, and so on and so forth. So again, it's like on one end we'll see Black men will be like,
I can't. Again, this is a conversation that's been had for far too long, and it gets ridiculous over time. It's already ridiculous now. You're not going to get along with each other. Stay away from each other, right? Again, I have no problems with Rastafari. They consider me Rastafari. They consider me Rastafari. The way I carry myself, they look at me and say, "Are you Jamaican, Haitian?" It's like, you have a part of that. I have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of Irish, a little bit of Irish in my family, a little bit of Jamaican in my family, a little bit of Haitian in my family. I have a little bit of everything. But the one thing I do claim is my Africanity. I will never let that go, sir. That's why I'm a Pan-African for life.
they're trying to attack us, and I'm like, are they? Because I heard a conversation, and I heard his opinion.
Going into this conversation, True, do you believe we have a culture?
I don't think that we have a definitive culture. No.
So you agree with him walking in? So I don't get offended by anything he said because it fed to your original thesis, correct?
No, I try to listen objectively. When I heard him define culture, because prior to stumbling across him, I've asked these same questions on panels just like this. I've asked, what is culture? And what I typically get in the feedback is it's a combination of things that are not foundational. They are things that are
1804. 1804. But let's not get this misconstrued. You have a person out there. You know what? I'm going to let you listen while I go get a drink of water, because this is quite interesting. It's contradicting, and it's kind of like, and this is from a certain individual. This is from a grifter, a flip-flopper. And to your question, sir, I'll be right back.
Communitively share food, like even us saying that we have a different subset of English amongst Black people. Honestly, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, do we? Because I know someone from the South talks different. Someone from the Midwest speaks different. East speaks different, but we're still speaking English. So I don't see there to be what he's questioning and trying to build upon, the offense.
Okay, can you give me the definition of culture that you're using to come to this conclusion?
I don't know if that'll be safe. I think culture is an aspect of how you view life. I think you subscribe to a belief system. I believe that if the culture is something that is consistent, it's replicable, you should be able to share it amongst, put this person here and put this person here. No matter where they are in the world, they're going to share core commonalities. It's not going to be that different. And I don't know if that's something.
I think you broke up.
Did I break up?
It's just me.
Okay.
I can hear him.
Yeah, so that's what I believe.
You can hear him?
Yes. Yeah, we can hear him. We can hear him. So true. Real quick, I think that Black people have always had a culture. The problem is, it's so compelling that it's always hijacked, and Black people can't keep a culture because it's always hijacked. People emulate Black culture on a regular basis, and I think that's more of the issue. Anything that, whether it's terms, fashion, everything that Black people do is constantly emulated by multiple cultures globally. So that's why you can't really identify it, because it's always hijacked. Just the way that people speak, people all over the globe are using Black people's terminology. That people try to walk like Black people.
Okay. Guess what? Tariq Nasheed came out with a video. Came out with the movie 1804, and it was depicting on how Haitians were being treated like slaves. You know, I'm not saying they had the worst happen to them. I mean, pretty much they're the same as Africans, right? So, but their culture is very unique. Why? Because they were a very small island. And that very same small island with that very same small culture of people dominated all 3 European colonies, including Napoleon, defeated him. But at the same motherfucking time, this same person who created the film 1804, the same individual is claiming FBA, Foundational Black Americans, coming after any and everybody who is not from America. Tell me the contradiction in that. Tell me the contradiction in that. You want to talk about the culture, but you want to sell it and get money for it. But then you're going to talk shit afterwards. Talk about tethers.
Anything that you can think about.
So true. What people do you feel? Because one, that definition, words mean something, and that's not the definition of culture. I think that's the way you're interpreting this, using the definition of culture. I'll read it again. Pretty read it earlier.
But you're
the
right.
Arts and the manifestations of human intellect.
But you're right. These people are crazy. These people are freaking crazy.
Intellectual achievement regarded collectively. The customs, arts, social institutions, achievements of particular nation, people, or social group. Do Black Americans have all of those things?
You
want me to read it again?
No. I understood you. They do, but I don't believe we own that, especially from where we're currently placed, like where we actually reside. And maybe that's my disconnect. I'm admitting that.
So okay, you're true. That kind of supports my point, though, that you can't own anything because it's constantly hijacked. You can't. People love it too much. People emulate it too much.
So, by your definition,
people emulate it too much. That's what it's called copyright infringement. You can actually sign on to that, get copyright infringement, and stamp it to your product. People who copy it, they're gonna have to pay for it. Duh.
Are you saying culture, the way you view culture, is something that you monopolize and capitalize off of?
I think that if you're gonna explain a group of people, it should be consistent and definitive. Meaning that it's not so much shared. Like, it's very easy to understand Japanese people, Israeli people. We know what their culture consists of.
What is Japanese culture?
Japanese culture? What is people? They're people of discipline. They speak Japanese primarily. Most of them don't share Western perspective. They're not an overly religious people, very matriarchal. They concentrate on math. They concentrate on historical facts. And most of them don't ever leave Japan.
Most of them.
Their overall delivery system when it comes to food, manufacturing, very precise. And they're minimalistic in their overall approach to life.
Have you lived in Japan, or you
God.
Your opinion?
I have lived in Japan.
And that's where you got it from?
Yeah.
And you lived around.
Dude, it does not take a rocket science to read. You can go to your public library. You can go to Barnes and Novus and pick on a book on culture of Japan, culture of China, Russia, and read it, analyze it, and get a depiction of what their culture is versus your culture. Doesn't take rocket science. Oh my God! Oh goodness gracious! You working, ain't you? Working, ain't you, Barb? You working, ain't you? Watch your mouths. Watch your mouth. Oh, I can take this off.
Expression, and I love that Lucky said that. No, because Black people, from what I've gathered, when we speak about culture, we speak about things that are, again, shared amongst us human. Food, socializing. There still is nothing, in my opinion, that raises the stake. Outside of the night, when Lucky said expression, I kind of took that. I'm like, okay, no, she has a very, very valid point. But I still think that that's hard to own. And maybe from what Trev is saying, it keeps being botched up and shared and distributed. But that still, to me, wouldn't dilute the culture if it is something that is owned by this culture. And when I ask Black people, what is the culture? They really can't express or explain it.
Right, because you're asking for attention.
Marcus, after you respond, just FYI, Bo was trying to get in, and I know Pretty had a hand up in the chair.
True. I think you should review the definition, because you're looking for a different word other than culture when you're saying it. Because based off the definition of culture, we have that in abundance, and it's clear, and it's probably one of the most influential in the world. Now, to disregard that is strange to me, but everybody got their own opinion, and I think the things that you instituted for other people that you see very clearly, I wonder why there's that.
We're fighters. We're
it's
largely
all of those things.
Largely egalitarian.
Let's not usurp. Not usurp. Yeah.
My fault. I thought I was mute.
Who are you talking to then? Who you was talking to?
Just hey, look, I'm talking to my damn self, man.
Oh, okay, my fault.
I'm yelling at the clouds right now.
Hey, we could though.
Culture and whoever else's culture, we look to other people and it's like our culture doesn't look like that, so we don't have one. Instead of defining ourselves for ourselves, we are like, well, we not like the white people. Well, we not like them over there. We're not. Genuine.
Huh? Everyone put a question mark in the comment section. Everybody put a question mark in the comment section. Like, huh? What? Why would I? What? Why should I give 2 fucks about what white people's cultures are? Other than we know they fuck pigs. Why would I care? Sammy Davis Jr., who turned coon, loved them in Cannonball, loved him what to do, loved him in Tap. He is the greatest entertainer of all. But what got him caught out there, and it wasn't his fault, but what got him caught out there was the entertainment value. People didn't recognize him as talent until he stuck Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and there was another guy. They were called the Rat Pack. And Dean Martin said, if you don't let Sammy Davis Jr. in, the Rat Pack ain't performing tonight. And so this is where we get caught up. This is where we get caught up. Again, that wasn't his fault because people don't recognize that. The whole blackface thing, y'all remember if your great granddads and your granddads of yesteryears were alive today, they would tell you when they served as butlers in the trains, right? When it was time for performancing, you performed. You definitely performed for them, for the white folk. What do you think comedy was created? Because of you performing for white folks. That's what created comedy. That's where your comedians were created. Your Martin Lawrences, your Eddie Murphys, your Paul Mooney's, your Theo Fidels, your I can name a list of them. I can name a whole list of them. But they don't see any other talents. Either we're comedians, we're movie stars, or we play basketball. We play all types of sports. We're not seen realistically as carpenters, as painters, as any type of artists. It's like we don't sacrifice anything, but yet white folks love to take over our establishments once we're gone and either they'll tear it down and rebuild anew, or why do you think Donald Trump wants to tear down African museums? But it's not like there wasn't no real African shit in there anyway. You ain't never gonna see no Shaka Zulus in there. You are never gonna see no Shaka Zulus in no damn a real history museum. You ain't never gonna see no Nat Turners in there. You can't see Nat Turner because they cut them up They captured them and carved them into pieces, just like they did Tris Lumumba. Believe it or not, they are your coaches. I'm not white now with no black friends. Sure, I'll be your friend. I'll definitely be your friend. There. Now we're friends. We are definitely friends.
We're not. The reason why we can't agree is because all of us, we have such a complicated relationship with the world as Black people that we cannot focus on ourselves. We conform to European culture and we fight against it all at the same time. We revere and we covet European culture and we hate it all at the same time. And because we are battling back and forth with that, then we look at ourselves and we're like, you ghetto, I love Black people, but I hate a nigga. Like, we do so many things and we turn against ourselves that we see no value in ourselves. We say we love being Black, but we hate. I hate twerking. I hate weaves. I hate this. And I hate when people wear their pants below their butts. All of that. You got to accept all of it. It's all a thing. But the base of everything, because
you don't have to. And I now see what she's saying, but realize again the twerking part came from African culture, and there are many different tribes in Africa. When I saw the Woman King, that did it for me. The Woman King, you damn right. You damn right. You damn right. Nat Turner is a legend and possibly one of the Black Americans that people don't know about. You motherfucking right. You motherfucking right. That homeboy came up there, he turned Christian, and then one night got tired and used the Bible against his master, and then turned that hammer or whatever he had and cut off the heads of not only the men but the women and children too. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
even that woman that wear that long weed that you don't like, she still finna go to church. She love her grandma, and she can still communicate with you how we communicate. She still listens to the music. She can make the music. All of these things, like, they're all artists. They're like, all of us are all of these things at our.
We would expand it.
Which industry?
Oh, real estate, commerce, art.
Which one primarily? Which one would have been ours?
Educate me.
It would have been agriculture.
Fair.
That would have been ours had we would have been just left alone. But through a concerted effort, not only by the evil white people in this country, but being backed by the government itself, we were robbed of that. We would have.
So, despite all that, what the fuck does this have to do with getting along with people who look like you but speak a different language? What does that all have to do with it? They are you, you are they. They are you, you are they. We are Pan-African, whether you love it, like it, hate it, despise it. You are Pan-African. You can call yourself FBA. You can call yourself Adolphs. But at the end of the day, when we all merge into one, we are Pan-African. Point blank, period, end of discussion. The Israelites, Pan-African. The Hebrews, Pan-African. Point blank, period.
Have been a brainchild through when it came to agriculture. When it came to farming and everything else, they would have to come to us first. But because that was stolen from us, we don't have it. So most of the time, when it comes to us, we rely on our music. We rely on how we speak to one another. We rely on how we communicate. We rely on our everything that NY said.
Well, so I got a question. Yeah, I want to see Kiana, Shan, Luck, right? If I were to hear a retort,
he okay. I don't want to say he's a victim. I don't want to say that. He's just whining. Okay, well, maybe that is a victim. I don't know. But what if he knows all, and everybody knows that. Everybody knows that everything has been stolen from Black people. Everything has been stolen. They're making bits and pieces. Every movie that depictuates slavery or other things, like parts of I just seen the movie and I forgot what it was. Michael B. Jordan was in it. Shit, he was the twin. What the fuck? Sinners. At the beginning of the movie, it depictuates what part of businesses were ours and what were not. You had Asians who had their own businesses. You had whites that had their own businesses. In that part of Mississippi, you saw what the Black businesses looked like, and you saw what the Asians looked like, and you saw how they were trading goods back and forth. You saw that part. But what separated freedom from being free is that you were still not free. To be free, you would have to die or pretty much learn how to die. There were so many people who were survivors. So many people. And people shit on Harriet Tubman. And I'm getting sick and tired of people shitting on Harriet Tubman. I'm really getting sick and tired of that. Talking about she wasn't for real. She wasn't for real. She was all made up. If she wasn't for real and she was made up, answer me this question. Why are you here? Why are you existing? She saved the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of Black people. Even if she had to destroy one or two with that shotgun that she had. And she had to destroy one or two because one or two wanted to go back into slavery. She refused. But now, and she suffered more. She couldn't even have children, for crying out loud, because of what they did to her womb. Because of what they did to her. She had a concussion. She suffered from concussions. She suffered through all of this. But because of the simple fact that you can't respect a Black woman, why are we even talking about culture? Why are we even talking about culture? Is this going to be a part of our culture, believe it or not? You disrespecting Black women, not giving Black women their due. Not giving Black women their just due. What part of the game is this?
To what Marcus said, it would be he spoke in platitudes.
Now let's get
perseverance, uplift, right? The sensational nature of what he was saying is inspirational, but it's platitudinal.
It's not positive and it's not productive. And I just
Black American, and like how does this work? So people are echo chamber good, but if they disagree, bad.
What's up, JSP?
No, all opinions are
it shouldn't be occurring. Pretty was not disrespectful in the way she just engaged in that conversation. She was clear that she wasn't from America, that she had a Caribbean background, and she also did it from a sense of positive, introspective care for our culture. That man is rage baiting.
I'm gonna show you. Hold on, I messed up. Hold on.
The reason why I didn't think Saint was this,
I feel like the two things is where you no time to dissect.
I'm gonna show you
and add negative context or tell us what we don't have. You should not be in the conversation unless, because if we did that same thing in your culture, you would be offended. If you can say things about a culture and then you don't want them said about yours, it's an offensive thing. Like it shouldn't be occurring. Pretty was not disrespectful in the way she just engaged in that conversation. She was clear that she wasn't from America, that she had a Caribbean background, and she also did it from a sense of
that's your panel.
Positive,
that's your panel.
Introspective care for our culture. That man is rage baiting against us as a people, and I even having to entertain this shit is disrespectful. Honestly. Like, so if you don't think we got a culture, we don't. Then go back to wherever the fuck you from and just live there. We don't have to engage in this conversation with you. And for you to get on platforms and start discussing.
When you say that, you're no different from white folks. I'm just gonna say that out loud. When you say that, you're no different. You are no different from white people. You're no different. It is what it is. No different. You know, that's a very, very long word. That is a very, very long word, and I'm gonna have to define. And I love defining certain words. Yeah, let me see if that just is that even a word, dude? Okay. I'm gonna have to define that one. But yeah, if you don't like it, you go back to Africa. Okay, so you're saying go back to wherever you came from just because they don't agree with you? If I don't agree with you off top, if I don't agree with you off the bat, then I have to send my ass back to Africa. Okay. Ain't no different from white folks.
Cussing us all the damn time. That's an issue. Like, let's say we never had a culture. Why is that your point to make? Why are you discussing us?
Okay. So just so I'm clear, if they disagree in a way you don't like, we got to get rid of them.
Yep.
Okay.
If you want to boil it down to that, that's not what I said. But if you want to boil it down to that,
I'm trying to boil it down because
I added prerequisites for how somebody could engage in a conversation and they're not trying to disdain or tear down our community. His opinion is an attempt to tear us down as people or to say what we don't have. It's reductive. It's not additive. There's no substantive value from what he's doing. And it's rage baiting.
Okay.
So,
and I love it. I was going to ask, can you speak Arabic as well? Zoe can. That's all Zoe does is study. That's all he does is study. But it would be fun if it would be Arabic. This is very difficult to study, but this is a Hebrew language. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam.
What do you think? Do you think that people who are not Black Americans should not be part of the conversation or no?
I think I may lean that way. If I had to just choose, Trev, I would probably just lean that way so we can have a conversation, amongst us. Right. What I don't agree with is if I like how they talking, then they could be in here. If I don't like how they talking, then we got to exclude them. That part I disagree with.
Okay, so by that logic, I mean, I need to get the fuck out of here too, because I was born here, but my parents they're Guyanese, right? I was born here. That's all I know. When I see Black people, all I saw Black people as is brothers and sisters, right? Yeah. I've contributed to the culture. I DJ'd. I did a lot of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't.
Well, white man, no one gives a shit about you either. So I don't know why you waste your time. Why don't you speak with Nick Fuentes? He feels the exact same way that you do. Probably a Trump supporter, but I guess.
Really know anything else. If it comes down to it, whatever a Black issue is, I see it as a Black issue, and I see us. I don't see y'all, and then me.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I'm from the East Coast also, so we all grow up together. Now there are disconnects though, right? Like Manish water will forever be nasty. I don't give a shit how many Jamaicans say that shit is good. It's not good. Okay, right? But there are distinct differences, where there will be disconnects if we're just trying to understand the culture first. But if I was just answering that question directly, Trev, in a hypothetical, and I had to lean one way, I guess I would lean that way. I think we could get further faster because there's a little bit less nuance because of our households. We have more similar traditions, right? Because when you start adding nuances from the people from the islands, now it kind of.
What you want? You asking me to be real, or who you want to be? Who you want to be real? You're asking me, or you're asking somebody else?
It may slow down the conversation.
Yeah. Now, with that, as far as how your household and my household is, if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It would probably be very similar to what your household is looking like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe so. You might be more right than me.
Let me get the name.
Yeah, and it's not about right or wrong.
Don't enjoy, and you get on YouTube and
that in itself is
themselves to some of the questions. I think you to a lot. I feel like a lot of people. Hey, what's up, you guys? Shout out to the P5.
Okay, this is my big brother Nathan Daly. Now we don't agree on everything. But I welcome him with open arms to the channel. I did it the last 2 times, but the first time he couldn't show up. The last time he showed up and he blessed us with his presence. Again, we don't agree with everything, but let's see what he says.
I appreciate you, brother, for bringing me up. It's been a minute since I've been over here, so I got a chance to listen to a lot. I feel like a lot of people contribute to a lot as it relates to this conversation. I do think though a lot of the context is being lost from Zanu, and I guess his intent. I hear the brother here saying that he believes that he was rage baiting. I don't think that. I think he was just having he was critically thinking. He has an opinion. He was on a panel with about 4 or 5 other brothers, and they had a hard time articulating themselves to some of the questions. I think he brought up some very good questions, and I think we have to be careful not to put ourselves in any type of echo chamber, right? Because we can't grow that way. I think a lot of times when we have these conversations, they're very sensitive. People get triggered emotionally, or their ego gets involved, and they're unable to kind of hear what's actually being asked. Me personally, after listening to what he said, I don't agree with his definition of culture and how he defined it.
at the same time, again, when you hear everybody on the panel and everyone's trying to really define what Black culture is, it's not that Black Americans don't contribute or they're not trendsetters or that the culture isn't copied and, or some people say cosplay or mimicked or shared amongst the world. It is. The issue isn't even that. From what I see, the problem is that there's no control over the culture, right? When you don't have control over your image, you don't have control over how things are put out, how things are interpreted. That's really the issue, right? The culture is pimped, right? And so if the culture is pimped, the question is, who's the pimp and who's the hose, right? And I think that's why there's so much confusion.
Who's the pimp and who's the hose? Think about it. If you've been farming for many, many years and you get that one white man with the briefcase and said, I will give you this amount of money for your farmland, and you say yes, you got pimped. You just got pimped. Or if you build a house, per se, you're in the carpentry business, and you build a house and you ask to stay in the house for a while because I'm tired and I just need a place to sleep, they're going to tell you, get the fuck out. Thank you for building this luxury house for me, but get the fuck out. This is my house. They have a right to do that. Because it's just like the Indians. It's just like the Indians. Even though I don't take too much of a liking to them because they were slave drivers just like white people were, and they captured you and they sent you back to your slave masters. But I would have to say, Indians, they say Indians got it bad. Indians got it the worst through smallpox and all this other shit, scalping. Yeah, they did. But guess what? Guess what? I'm not going to say fuck them because lesson learned. Lesson fucking learned. Lesson learned. You whooped their ass at the Alamo, but they whooped your ass with what? End of story.
His opinion is his opinion, right? Like, I think like anything, we're all entitled to it. Then challenge, right? Then all you need to do is have your rebuttal explain. I think someone said it earlier. If someone, I think it was Lucky, shout out to Lucky, she made a statement and said, hey.
Well, we'll get back into this. This is quite interesting. All of us need to be 100% real. You know, okay. With this 100% real shit, it all depends on what you depict on what's real. Because when we say let's be 100, let's be 100, you're jumping from the free throw line. You don't want to study. You just want to jump from the free throw line and miss. You might make it, then again you might miss. Because studying you, meaning your culture, your way of life, your way of living, what you create, what you own, what you control, what you cook, what you slave for, what you develop. Back then, they gave you the part of the pig that you're not supposed to be eating, but because a female, a African female, deprived herself, or not deprived, but took the knowledge that she took from those pieces of pigs that the white man had fed us because he didn't want to feed us anything else. She took the slop that she was given, the things that she was given, and she made it creatable and eatable for survival. So when we talk about keep it 100, keep it 100, study that shit. Take the time, be patient, study it, study your culture, study yourself, study where you came from, study who, the people who look like us, the people who people who made sacrifices. And also study the people who betrayed us. Study those. Study the William O'Neills of the world. Study the what's the guy from the FBI? J. Edgar Hoover. Study J. Edgar Hoover. You got to take the good and the bad, and you have to study these things. And then ask yourself, are people being 100% ready? You can answer your own question.
If there's some confusion as to what our culture is, this is not the first time this has been going on. There's a reason why people say it. I think people aren't really articulating what they're actually seeing or what they're not seeing. I remember having this conversation before in the past, and again, what I've noticed is just the lack of control, right? When you don't have control of your image, you don't have control, you don't have power over the media on how your culture is actually presented on a world stage. That's a problem. It's a huge problem. There's a portion of us as Black people who are responsible for that, and there's a portion of that's responsible of white people or people who are in control of some of these systems. At the same time, it doesn't mean that we can't fix these things either. It just means that we were and things like that over to another group. We can get into why that is or how that came about or why we're not changing that. But from what I understand, that's what I see. I think Zanu's, one of the things that he brought up that I agree with is worldview. And I think that goes for anybody, right? And I think that we define culture, but worldview is a separate thing. His opinion, he believes that a culture can't exist without a worldview. I don't agree with that. I think if you don't like what you see in a culture, it doesn't mean that the culture doesn't exist. I feel like that's where his argument is flawed. He could say, I don't like these attributes of Black American culture. Well, that's his opinion. That doesn't mean that the culture doesn't exist because you don't like certain elements of the culture. But Black American culture is very rich. It's very rich. I would say that it's a subculture of American culture, right? The culture broke away because of the racism, systemic racism, and oppressive tactics of white people during the time, is why Black culture segued away from American culture. But it is a subculture in America. So Black culture is American culture is Black culture. But though it's
that boy cooking. That boy cooking. That boy cook. That boy cook. Sharon said he don't know what he's talking about. Nigga, please. Nigga, please. Berry Gordy was the promoter, the promoter of Motown. He was the one that came out with "You Are the Last Dragon, Leroy." He's the one that came out with that. He's the one that put Ernie Reyes Jr., Asian, into the movie. No one would have known little Ernie Reyes Jr. No one would have known Ernie Reyes Jr. You better recognize. Talk to your elders if you're still here. I agree. Taj Tariq Bey Taj Tariq Bey said something very profound. He said, if we were to not turn back to our great grandmothers and great grandfathers of this world, be disciplined, be godly disciplined, and not turn away from our great grandmothers and our great grandfathers, we would not be in the same position that we're in right now. Paraphrasing. You had to follow Taj Tariq Bey to understand what he's saying.
Me personally, that's like a deeper layer to the conversation. I think that I haven't heard you guys really bring up. I just heard a lot of people being offended by certain things and not really diving into the nuance of the conversation. It's not shallow. I think what Zanu was talking about is something, he's talking to a different layer, he's speaking to a different layer. I think the way he may have articulated it didn't come off well, but if you listen to the interview in context, you'll start to understand. And for me, I understood what he was trying to say. I don't think he articulated it the best way. Because he believes that, I'm going to tell you what I believe, but because he believes that a worldview is missing, that means that there cannot be a culture. My interpretation is, if a worldview is missing from a culture group, you have a difficult time defining and maintaining the discipline of what the culture is through forms of being consistent. Their morals, values, religion, their customs.
So if I went to Jamaica,
traditional definition of culture. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I went to Jamaica and start saying that Jamaicans have no culture, would that be a disrespectful act?
He's starting to, dude. M. White's starting to get on my fucking nerves. Everything has to be a fucking fist fight with him. If I went down to Jamaica, if I went down to Haiti, if I went down to Japan or China or this word or that word and tell them they had no culture, shut the fuck up. Shut up. You're a victim. Why would he ask a question like that? Just dumb.
Am I furthering a conversation?
I think depending on the context of the conversation, yeah, you're going to have people who could take disrespect to it. But what I'm talking about is the context of the conversation, right? So if you have a person on a panel, you have people on a panel, and they agreed to have a conversation. Intellects decided to have a conversation. And one person is arguing his points and the other person's arguing their points. I don't see what the issue is.
I don't.
If they're intellects having an intellectual, if the conversation was brought up in a college at a university, I don't understand what the problem is. You can take offense to it, but it's a conversation.
You know, it's funny.
So as long as disrespect is from an academic lens, it's okay.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying is, if you have, just for example, if you have multiple people who come up on a panel and say, we're going to have a conversation about this, you're freely able to do that. Like, I don't understand what's the issue with them having a conversation?
You know what? You know why this is an issue? Because this feels like this is only something that's unique to us. I don't see anybody getting on a panel or going into a classroom or going on a stage and discussing whether Jamaicans have a culture or not. It's not something that happens to y'all. So I can see why you would sit here and be like, well, I think that might go down well, but it's never happened.
Oh, y'all a bunch of whiny little babies. Wah, wah, wah. They talk about us. Wah, 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 wah. They talk about, get over it. Get the fuck over it, dude. They're gonna talk about it, they're gonna talk about you. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean that the exact same thing that happens to them is necessarily gonna happen to you. You don't own and control shit. They do. They know how to fight for their shit. You don't. When was the last time the protesting that you do? Great, good, great, awesome. What's behind that though? What's followed behind the protesting? More talking. You're just talking. I get sick of that shit. He's right in a sense, but he's whining. Stop whining. It never happens to. How the fuck do you know? You don't. The same thing that happened in Haiti was the same thing that happened in Jamaica. The same thing that happened in Jamaica is the same thing that's happening in America right now. They are deformalizing and they're tearing you, splitting you apart. Not by, not physically, with this. Contracts. Your ambassadors don't. There's only one. No, I'm sorry. There are those people in Africa. One I just mentioned, Abraham Taribe, a young 37-year-old South African fighter, is saying no to all that bullshit. Ain't nobody gonna come to him with this and saying, sign this contract so we can take a third of your land. He's taking the farmlands back. Some of those ambassadors over there are taking the farmlands back. Why do you think Donald Trump brought those South Africans over here? And he was complaining that, the people from Africa, they're hurting the people. They're hurting the people from the farmlands over there. You mean the white farmland owners, or so-called owners that clearly didn't take your land by contract? They took your land by force. But I digress. You remember that? Oh, they're fighting people over there. They're dirty, but you had the nerve to talk about their shithole countries. They're S-hole countries. They're trash. They're poor. Blah 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 blah. But you want to stick your nose in Nigerian business. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
This only seems like something that's been happening to us. People getting on the stage trying to have an intellectual conversation about whether we have a culture or not. That is extremely disrespectful because we know where it's coming from.
That's not. I don't know if that's completely accurate, Sweeney. You're saying that.
Tell me where else has this happened. Tell me where else it has happened where there was an academic. Like people were actively asking about another group and whether they had a culture or not.
That's not
first generation Latinos deriving from their country, which is what I was going to say. A lot of times I believe our conversations happen this way. It's because we derive from here. Most of us can't truly source where we come from, tribal wise or link it. And even if you could, you don't see that heavily represented in current day in this land. Most people who are here that are Black do not carry their tribal practices.
Thank you.
So so that's why it's different. And it's like, I don't get why we live this existence and don't give credence to that.
So you're saying there are people in Africa talking about whether Africans in Africa have a culture?
No,
we don't. But
there are people in Jamaica having conversations about whether people in Jamaica have culture.
People have intellectual debates and discussions all the time about a multitude of different topics.
I'm asking.
Are you saying? I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're asking. What I'm about to ask you this though. Are you saying that you're aware of every single intellectual debate and conversation?
Because here's the thing.
But can you honestly say?
I'm gonna tell you this. I can honestly say I don't see it as publicly as I see yours.
Okay, but that's fine though.
And
that's still not relevant though to the conversation.
It's very relevant.
You people are taking little itsy bitsy pieces of a problem, something that's very, 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 very minimal, and you're making it bigger than it is, which I don't understand. A very few percentage of people say that you don't have a culture. Oh my goodness, all this talk is ugh. Hold on, give me a minute. Give me 60 seconds.
Because it's very relevant because here we have them having an academic conversation about us, and it always seems like everybody wants to have a conversation about Black culture and whether it's there or not. Why don't you show me where? Because you're from Jamaica, your people are from Jamaica. Tell me where you've seen in Jamaica them having specifically outsiders coming in and trying to have a conversation about whether Jamaicans have a culture or not.
What you have to understand about this country, though, this country is a melting pot of everybody.
No, we're specific.
It's a melting pot of everybody.
You don't think we are people, and that's.
I never said that. What are you talking about? I never said that. Don't put words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. Here's the thing. You guys for whatever reason think that this country is just black. It's not. All right, it's just not black. You don't own this country. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, that's not meant to be disrespectful. You do not own this country. This is a melting pot full of people. Full of people. So back to what we were saying earlier, the issue.
How is that relevant?
You're trying to assume that you are aware of every single intellectual debate and conversation that's happened on a global stage, and you're not. You're not. That's not even a strong. That's an emotional.
No, this is straight bad
emotional argument.
I don't understand how they have natural resources and yet they can't and or want to improve their condition in Africa. They don't have to. We already got people doing it over there. We already got people doing the damn thing over there. Now, not everything is fully developed. And it's like I said, one of my family members over there was handling business, paving the roadways and stuff like that. Going into other business ventures, I can't really say for certain because I'm not in her business. But now that she's a certain age, she can't travel over there anymore. But they labeled her Queen Mother for a reason. But Barb, it's a very, very, very small percentage. A very small percentage that argues you down to where your culture is trash because of the images that they see. You don't know the images that they see. They don't see. Name a person other than Jasmine Crockett. Other than Jasmine Crockett, who was well known, well formed, well dressed, well educated, and so on. So they just know her, right? And we can put in a Michelle Obama in there. We can throw in there, but how many good folk versus pitiful folk? And you can easily name the pitiful folk: Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, Future, fucking Eminem, all those particular cultures. I can't believe I named Eminem. But then again, everybody thinks that Eminem's the new black. I said, I ought to slap the shit out you for saying that. And I used to listen to Eminem heavy. I don't listen to him anymore. Unless he comes on the radio. I don't have the CDs anymore. But they're treating him like the new black, just like they treated Elvis. That's just blatantly disrespectful. But you're talking about a very, very small percentage. She said, hell no. What did you do? It's a point that I'm trying to drive home, ma'am. It's a point. But the point, and you see what that is? You just made me miss a train of thought there. God, leave Michelle alone.
That's an emotional argument that you're making, and it's silly. It sounds silly.
Right. It sounds silly. That's what you sound like. You sound like you just tethered yourself on, came on, agreed with this goofy Frank Zanu, and thought it was okay to discuss us in any capacity. I'm not going to Jamaica to discuss y'all. I'm not going to Africa to any other countries to discuss them.
You don't have to.
Stand with my people.
You don't have to.
If you find yourself amongst another group of people, I suggest you move respectfully.
But you bitching, dog. You straight bitching. You bitching because a couple of people was talking about you, dude. You bitching because of and they're not over here. They don't live over here. But they're a representative of their country. Something that you don't want to do. Because you think they're telling we got our own problems over here. No. The moment that they dragged your black ass over here and they sold you to the highest bidder, you became who? Their property. But yes, I will say this, and I'm going to drive this point home. There are those people in Africa who could have came and got us. But as we came along, but as we, and we suffered a hell of a lot. But there are those who are called freedom fighters who will forever get our most respect, who has tried and died fighting to save our what little that we had up here. That's why you mentioned the Nat Turners. You mentioned the Harriet Tubmans. Hell, you can mention the Booker T's. Booker T was Pan-African. Booker T, if it wasn't for Booker T, your minds would have been lost. If it wasn't for Frederick Bailey, aka Frederick Douglass's, if it wasn't for a fat, chubby Jamaican by the name of Marcus Garvey coming to America and say, uplift you people. I forgot what the other languages were. If it wasn't for Marcus Garvey coming from, he was a Jamaica. He was a Rastafari. If it wasn't for him, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't exist. Your whole culture would be exposed. Your whole culture would be exempt. No one wants to give Marcus Garvey his flowers. I'll even give you Nelson Mandela. Freedom fighter, but when they put him in jail for over 27 years, he became a Martin Luther King. But guess what? That's what 27 years of prison will do that to you. When they finally freed him, he was not the same as when that's what they do to most of us. That's what they do to freedom fighters. They either shut you up by putting you in jail for a very long time, or you will be out of there and dismembered. But they don't want to give anybody of any other culture who has came over here and had sacrificed for their people. I don't care if it's African Americans, American Africans, Black Americans, whatever you want to call yourselves. You're suffering from an identity crisis. What the fuck?
In the future, I don't think people going to be taking that shit kindly, bro. This is bullshit.
No, you're just too emotional. Calm down. It's not that
he's conscious, not emotional.
No, it's emotional.
He's conscious, not emotional. There's a difference between the two.
Good evening, everybody.
I will agree to disagree, J Speed. That is not conscious, sir. That is not conscious. That is overly emotional. Conscious is something that when you know something to be true, if you know something to be true, historic wise, you don't go overly emotional like that. You just don't. That's crazy.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Al. Good to see you. It's good to see you. It's good to see the panel aware and awake. I usually disagree with Bo, but I think she's working on me a little bit. She's doing a great job. She came up with a lot of points tonight, and I don't want to reverse on that square. But let's just deal with something here. I think the last conversation brings up a good point. Yeah, you don't probably have to know that people are having these conversations, but see, it's not like the big three own the spaces anymore. It's internet. We remove different. So when you sit up and say we don't have control of our image, we have more control of our image today than we have ever had.
Bullshit. We own the control of our images. Really? Okay. All right. We'll entertain this bullshit. All right. Black Panther. Who owns and controls the Black Panther comics? Who owns and controls? You have. Let's name all the black comics. Let's name all the black ones. The black ones only. You have Icon, Static Shock, Black Lightning, Black Panther, Storm. You know, the one that flies around and electrocutes your ass and controls the weather. I'm talking about those individuals. Who controls those? Who controls them? It ain't you. Stanley, and was it Kirby Smart? Stanley, and some other Jewish white man. Who made the Black Panther movie? Who directed the Black Panther movie? I need a name. Somebody give me a name. Who created the Black Panther movie? Who directed? Who directed the Black Panther movie? Anybody know? The person who directed the Black Panther movie was the same person that directed Creed, the same person that directed Sinners, right? And I respect that person, Ryan Coogler. And I respect that man for what he has done. But I can honestly say the first and the second Black Panther movie, the first Black Panther movie was incredible. We seen it. It hit $1 billion in the box office because everybody seen it, right? But what was so defined about that? It was well done, but let's keep it. Let's, like the guy said, let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. Of course, when he flew in there and it was shielded from every other culture, right? Which I accept. I do accept. How and why is that BS? I'll tell you. When Now I gotta get on my comic book shit. When T'Challa was in the ship and he flew through the force field, what did you see? You saw a town full of riches, but before then, you saw on the outside, you saw cold. No, I'll get to that in a minute. You saw nothing but real African culture out there. You saw real African culture, people farming. You saw a woman pregnant. You saw farming. You saw women and children. You saw actual culture. But let's get to you saw riches as well. But at the very end of the movie, who was your savior? It wasn't Black Panther because he was too busy fighting another black man. Ooh, where do we get that from? The late 80s and the late 70s, the late 80s and the 70s, the 80s and the 90s, when we were both fighting each other in movies. You had a white man save you. You remember the FBI agent? You had an FBI agent infiltrating. Of course, they welcome him in. If I was T'Challa, no, you got shot. Like, bye, see ya. Killmonger was the only person that was realistic. Killmonger was the only person that was so real and so 100% real, as I might add. That's crazy work. That is crazy work. It's like there's like a whole bunch of people. There's a whole bunch of people that are starving out there, and we're so safe in here. We're living comfortable in here. That's what I'm talking about. He was willing to go to war with the white folks, but T'Challa said no. But what does he do? They gave him the keys. They gave this white man the keys to become the savior of Wakanda.
Point blank. And if you don't know that, you're living on a rock. You know what I mean? And so I think we can make this real simple. Let's just make it simple. And I don't want to be long-winded because I think you come and suck the air out of the place, Nathan. So I'm going to be short-winded, okay? So, number one, I think if we had this in family, you wouldn't let an outside family come in and tell your family what you should be doing and what you have and what you don't have. These conversations are usually happening within the family. And I think that's what everybody is really saying here, that everybody wants to take pot shot with us. You're right. We don't own America, Nathan. But hell, y'all own Jamaica and your family still came here.
They don't own Jamaica.
But you know what I'm saying, Mr. White. I was trying to make a bigger point.
You're making a point, but to clarify, they don't own Jamaica neither.
Oh, I got that. And so I'm going to leave it right at that. I don't let other outsiders come in and tell me how I should raise my family and what I should do within my family and what we got and what we don't got. That's things that are discussed between the family. You can call it intellect, you can call it whatever you want to. There's certain conversations you shouldn't just get in.
Yeah, that's disappointing, OG. And the reason why is because it's not just coming from people outside. The context was laid that this was a panel and it was a conversation. Some of the things that he said.
But you had the nerve to involve white people in our fucking conversations. Come on, Jay. Come on, Jay. Speed dog. You my guy and everything, but come on, stop. Keep it real. You don't want to involve people who look like you, who speak a different language into our conversations, but you invite white people. You invite white people who call you a nigger right to your face, and you do nothing. You do nothing. So what you're saying is misconstrued. It doesn't count for nothing. I'm sorry. It doesn't count. Because look, again, you have Nick Fuentes calling you an N-word right to your face. No, not Nick Fuentes. You have a woman, what is her name? You have Lily Gallus. And you have other just disgusting ass white women coming to your platforms. Sharon, coming to your fucking platforms and yell out the N-word 8 or 9 times, and it's okay. But you have a problem with an African asking questions about Black culture? Do me a favor. Define the word Black for me.
And some of the things that Nathan said, I've said. I was born here, live here, was raised here. And so I'm talking amongst people, and what we try to do, we throw pillars up of pride, because all I hear is pride. We can't be talking about, and there was no instruction in that entire 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 40-some minutes they talked. There was no instruction. They were sharing ideals. That should be something that we should be able to do. And at one time, I do remember Black Americans being able to do this. And be civil about it. But in current day, it seems like anytime it pierces or what seems to be an attack on the culture, they're automatically like, well, put them out. Don't invite them to the cookout. It's ignorant. It doesn't even make any sense.
Thank you.
And why I was saying to Sweeney earlier, the reason why these conversations happen is because our experience is very unique. You don't have to think about other nations. If they live in Japan, they're Japanese. If they live in China, they're Chinese. If they live in Israel, they're Israelites. This is easy. But in America, it's not like that. So we have cultures amongst cultures. And it's like, for us to not even be able to have the conversation, if it's so rich and it's so strong and it's so consistent, then it should echo one tone, one energy, one word. And it should be able to be depicted in package and given. And it can't, even amongst us.
Look, listen, I appreciate each and every single one of you for sticking with me, because these conversations are, as far as I'm concerned, is trash. And the reason why it's trash is because we had ample time. We've had time throughout the years, throughout the centuries, to come together and solve these problems from within. But you let the internet, so as far as the internet divide us. Now, don't get me wrong, the internet is good for information, but it's also bad. It's also known for destroying us from within. It's very fucking sad. All the tribes in the world, name the homies, the Kwee-Kwees, all the African fucking tribes of the world. Those are your people. That's your culture. Hell, you analyze it in America anyway. It all goes back to twerking. Where does twerking come from? It comes from an African dance, you buffoon. You're using it in a negative content while they're using it because. Do we not realize why Black women have such big asses? You can contribute that to a woman named Sarah Bartman. Sarah Bartman was I think she, I don't know if she was South Africa. I gotta look it up. But anyway, Sarah Bartman had a big old giant ass. And it was and she used it to not only carry things on her back, but carry children from one town to the next town, and from one town to the next town. And she was being sold and enslaved, and everybody was looking at her like she was some type of experiment. And when she died, what happened to her? She died throughout depression and some other disease. But when she did die, you know what happened to her? They did do an experiment on her by carving her up, and to see where her melanin came, what type of power, what type of influence that she had on other women, white women that was disgusted of her because they wanted to be like her because of what she had. That's contribute all of that to her, but she gets no respect. Harriet Tubman doesn't get any respect. Malcolm X doesn't get any respect anymore. Martin Luther King don't get no respect. You're done as a people.
So Mr. Taylor, do you think we have an academic argument? Let me ask you a question.
All right.
With all that you just go ahead, White. Go ahead.
In regards to disrespect, true. Do you think if we have an academic argument, as long as you can have a disrespectful conversation as long as it's an academic argument?
I don't. Disrespect's very hard to quantify, Marcus, and I'm being honest.
All right. So let's just say, for the sake of a conversation, I wanted to discuss the points in which I think you are doing some bullshit, and I called you a negative name. Or, for instance, if I say you being a tether, do we need to and we have a discussion about that? Is that an academic discussion about the points and why in which I say that?
If you that necessary, well, if you added a tagline to me that I don't agree with, then we can talk about it. But I'm not gonna get bent out of shape. I'm probably not gonna take it disrespectful, me personally.
So what if I said I want to have a conversation about how I think you a bitch? Then what?
Now you take.
Would that be academic?
I could give you my points about a reference of why I feel that way.
I wouldn't want to entertain that conversation because that's your opinion trying to, again, give me a tagline. See, your interpretation of what you believe me to be is irrelevant. If we're going to have a conversation to be men, we need to talk about data. We need to talk about historical fact. We need to keep it on topic. Now you're attacking one person. That is disrespectful.
Okay, so true. I'm not calling you a bitch. I'm asking a question in regards. But you see how your voice raised? Because that was disrespectful questions to ask you, right? So you're having an intellectual conversation right now. I've crossed the line of disrespect, and now you have a problem with it. That's why you do the we're men thing, because it could potentially lead to another thing, correct?
You just overly emotional, partner. You way overly emotional. Carrie, what did you just do just now? Carrie, what did you just do just now? First of all, are you black or white? And I don't mean no disrespect, but are you black or are you white? But do you realize what you just did? You retraced, believe it or not, Sarah Bartman, whose ancestors or whose family or family's family, if they are part of Sarah Bartman's lineage, you trace that back to the what? 1700s. You trace that back to the 1700s. Give yourself a fucking bow. Give yourself a goddamn bow. Because all these FBA motherfuckers can't do anything except trace their lineages to the 1800s. When you can trace it back farther than that. Give yourself a fucking bow, boy. Give yourself a motherfucking bow.
Well, I'm answering your question. See, again,
why was it important to reference the we're men?
Because there's an expectation that I have amongst men. There's a maturity an expectation amongst men. We're having conversations.
Yes,
There's a topic matter. So yeah, I wouldn't understand why you felt it necessary to attack or poke or probe. That's irrelevant. Like, what are you ultimately trying to invoke?
Do you? That was my question to you, Mr. Table.
Yep. All right.
When you have outside people coming in, what are you trying to invoke?
But again, from what
I'm not talking speaking to you personally.
Yeah.
Because if anybody up here has experience with other people from other countries, I would say I have great experience from other people from other countries. Let's just start with the Minister Farrakhan. He don't have the same conversation that guy who was on the tape y'all was playing. He don't talk like Mr. Nathan was talking. Matter of fact, he don't talk like what you are talking. Because I believe his interest in black people and what they got and what they don't have is to uplift black people, not to step on them.
But
I love the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. I don't love him as much as Dr. Khalil Muhammad. I don't love him as much as Malcolm X. And both Louis Farrakhan and the great Elijah Muhammad, they have a lot to answer for. They have a lot to answer for. Even though I respect, and of course, I keep it respectful amongst the brothers and sisters of that community. But you have a lot to answer for. What happened to Khalil Muhammad? A lot to answer for. Because believe it or not, he was under your care, wasn't he not? And he could gave a damn less who you were. And he also contributed to the brothers and sisters in Africa. As long as they were about business, standing on business, that's what it was. Malcolm, didn't he go to Mecca? And he found black, white, Hispanic, other ethnicities in Mecca. And because he was talking that Mecca shit, they wanted him terminated. They wanted him silenced. It took a simple drug dealer that did 10 years in prison, 10 plus years in prison. You gave him the books, you gave him the dictionaries, you gave him histories, and he became what you despise the most. And Anton Daniels has the nerve to walk around here talking about fuck Malcolm X, disrespecting the Honorable Malcolm, disrespecting his children. You know, he resided in Lansing, Michigan, where I came from. Even though he wasn't born in Michigan, I think he was born in Oklahoma. He resided in Lansing, Michigan for a while. But let me continue.
Oh, gee, there was
So if Farrakhan made a statement that you don't agree with, you gonna call him a tether?
Listen, is
Farrakhan a tether?
I don't consider him a tether.
Why not?
Reason why I don't
foundational Black American.
Okay, so reason why you know what? I take that back. If we go by the problem with that, okay, wait a minute. If you want me to answer your question, bro, I'm gonna answer your question. I take that back. I will consider him by the true definition of the tether. Now,
okay. So Farrakhan's a tether.
Oh, okay. Wait. Can I finish? Okay. Thank you.
Right,
I know you quick on the gun. I know you quick on the gun now, bro. You know. So I'm trying to but you can see you can see the best interest of us in his words.
No.
Okay. Right? And prove him wrong. Prove him wrong. It's just that simple. It's not. It's.
Well, why not have that?
I'm looking at.
Why not have that conversation?
Why not
have that conversation with his own people?
Listen. All I'm
why
saying.
Not have that conversation? Wait.
See, this is the bullshit that I'm talking about, and this is the reason why I don't get into conversations like this, because I know me. If I get on platforms, I'm getting kicked off because I know me. I don't have the patience. I don't have the tolerance for these conversations. Maybe on my own platform, but that's about it. Because we have those that we can agree and disagree, or agree to disagree. But it doesn't become an argument. At some few times it did, sometimes it has, and sometimes it did get into an argument. But if we can't be true, if we can't, how do I say this? If we cannot be honest with one another and we can't have these conversations, please, by all means, don't invite white folks onto your panels anymore. Because what they're doing is the exact same thing that you're doing. Only they know how to do it. They're used to doing it. They're used to calling you the N-word and smiling in your face about it because you ain't gonna do shit about it. But then you have a nerve to attack people who look like you but speak a different language. I don't know what, chat, please tell me, why is it so difficult to have conversations with people who look like us but speak a whole different language? Okay, we speak English, but they speak Igbo. We speak English, but we speak Omtarum. We speak Kondarum. We speak French. We speak Arabic. Do you understand what I'm saying? Why are we so amped up to diss and just kick out people who look exactly the same color-wise? Even though black is not a color, neither is white, but people who walk tall and act just like, and hell, they mimic the same exact things. Do you not understand what you put out there? They're going to imitate. It's your fault. Because each and every single time you put something out whether it be good, bad, or indifferent, they are going to imitate. And they're used to imitating the worst of us. You don't put nothing good out there other than comic books, but that's comics. What about lawyers? What about congressmen? What about, I don't know, something good? This is what they depict of you. This is what they imitate you. Look at every single rap video from other countries. Look at each and every, thank you for the gift. Look at each and every single fucking one of these countries and every fucking single rap music that they do. They are imitating you. What you put out there. What you put out there in the surface. What you put out there in life. If you calling somebody a nigga, they gonna call somebody a nigga too. That's what you do. But it's the moment we start studying these people, the moment we start studying their culture, because you know it's embedded in us. We are an entirely different person. We are an entirely different person when we come home, and we are at peace. And it's not our fault. It's the white man who wants to separate us. They've been wanting to separate you since the beginning, since this whole beginning. They wanted to separate you. But we gotta take responsibility. We gotta hold ourselves accountable for what we do. Confusion, a lack of thank you. Confusion, a lack of understanding. When you come to Jamaica, you get a whole new experience. When you come to Haiti, you get a whole new experience. But you witness the horror. In America, you don't have to witness too much because America, it's colorful. You got this going on, you got that going on, you got the LGBTQ, HIV community running around here. You got men dressing as women, women acting like men. It's too colorful. It's just not, it's unhealthy and it's not right. But yet, do you experience that in Africa? Hell no! Do you experience masculinity in Africa? Yes. Do you experience masculinity in Germany? Yes. Do you experience masculinity in Russia? Yes. Do you experience masculinity in places like, I can't even name them all. China, they don't play that shit. They don't play that garbage. We have a small entity here in the United States of America. When it comes to the Israelites, they stand on business. When it comes to the Hebrews, they stand on fucking business. But that's a very, very small percentage. The rest of you, and the Black Panther Party. And yes, true that. I had to give it to Louis Farrakhan. He does stand on business. But everybody else, I don't know. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure. I'm not so sure.
Wait a minute. Why not? Can you answer the question? I heard the question. What is the important? Wait a minute. What would be the importance of having that conversation with us and not just having that conversation with his own people? Now, I'm going to tell you why I say that. Wait a minute. Nathan, just let me finish. I land my chocolate because I have very little bit of money to afford gas. So I don't want to run out, okay? Go ahead, do your thing, bro. This is the problem Charlie Kirk had. Same problem. This is the problem he had. Too much interference over here on this sport team when he should be dealing with his own sport team. That was his problem. And that's what I see in these conversations.
Why are we mentioning Charlie Kirk? Once again, infiltrating. Well, I need to speak with Jay Speed. I really do need to speak with Jay Speed. Why are we talking about Charlie Kirk? What the fuck? Why are we talking about Charlie Kirk? And correct me if I'm wrong, words have power, right? Words do have power, right? So what happened at Charlie Kirk at the end? Hey, I wouldn't do that because number one, I never knew who Charlie Kirk was. Half of the people didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was. But it don't take a rocket scientist to plug in a couple of videos to look at him, and it's like, okay, so he was a alt-right racist. He was no different. Charlie Kirk was no different from Richard Spencer. Okay. No different from Richard Spencer, no different from Nick Fuentes. So we can put all that to bed. Why are we mentioning Charlie Kirk?
If you lack information on another culture, does that mean you're not allowed to engage with them and speak about what your misunderstanding is? It may be a negative connotation that you have about that culture, but how can we clarify it to the outside world who we are? And if we're quick to clarify what that culture is, then as many other cultures have done, we can commodify, control our image, and have a grip on what we actually want to present to the world because we've already decided amongst ourselves what our culture is. I think it's the lack of the ability to communicate that so often.
Oh, no. I'm going to have to kick you off, sir. You mentioned David Duke. You don't have the right to be right on my live. You can't be right on my live, sir. You cannot. You cannot be right. I'll refuse. You cannot be right about David Duke. No, I can't have that, sir.
Often that has become a problem, and why others, they just feed into whatever's fed to them via the media rather than actually having someone to consort with and say, hey, what is Black culture? I think there is no Black culture, but you know what, from what I've seen, it hasn't been, but when you ask someone who's a part of it, you can get that clarification.
Sister, with all due respect, I consider that a bunch of word salad. I made a point. I made a point. No. Fish, Nate, let me handle this, okay? And you can always rebut.
You just said you didn't have enough gas.
No. She came right after me, so I'm going to retort back to her. Okay?
Right,
I made a point. We can see this same thing with the CK. I don't want to call this guy name out anymore. We seen the same thing with him, spending so much time on talking about if or not, or digging in someone else's culture versus his own culture took him out. And this is what I'm saying. This is where this stuff we don't have to explain to the world what we do. The world see what we do. And when you come in with bad intention, trying to step on that for what?
Brother, you don't even know who you are. I bet if I asked you, you would know what tribe you're from. If you're a tribe, you wouldn't know. Because you're used to seeing the things that are happening before you, but you never want to look back further into, even though I look at his channel and he does do a lot of history. But there's just certain things beyond that. And maybe I could be wrong. Maybe he has a connection to his Africanity, but it's very, very vague. And so this is the reason why I had to have a conversation with him. But I'm not going to get into the rest of this. It's garbage. It's a bunch of garbage. It's a bunch of garbage. And apparently people haven't learned their lessons. Believe it or not, whether they are talking about you, not talking about you, imitating you, which is preferably your fault, they come over here and they work. They work just like the rest of us do. They do DoorDash, Uber, taxi cabs. Some of them work at hotels and casinos just like regular folk. And then they go home. And then some of the places, they have like Jamaican spots. They have Haitian spots where they serve good Haiti food that got from, the cargo ships, and they bring it back to their establishments and they cook it, right? Jerk chicken. But you go over there, it's clean water. Nothing but clean water. I have never seen purity, especially in Jamaica. I have never seen that much purified water in my life. White people just dump chemicals all over the fucking river over here. And this is what the fuck we drink. Which I encourage y'all, and all that tap water ain't good for your body either. That's why I encourage y'all to get filters. And I think not this one, but I have a can with a filter in it, and I gotta get a new filter put in it. But this is what you do. But whether you like it or not, there are peoples too. And again, I tell you, I have a story, and I don't have much of a story. I have no problems whatsoever. I've had no problems. The correct terminology is had zero issues with any immigrant, especially people who look like me. Never had that problem. Never had that problem at all. It's a damn shame. What the fuck do we own and control in this country? You talking about we have a culture. Where is it? You talking about we control our images. How? Where? Where? Where is it that I can go to and I can say, look, that image right there cost a fortune. Can I say that? Again, Black Panther, I don't know, Green Lantern. Oh, by the way, Green Lantern, that's Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan. I know. John Stewart. He's not the first Green Lantern. John Stewart is not the first Green Lantern. Although I like John Stewart, but Hal Jordan is the first Green Lantern. It's just that's a what even Eric July, aka Ripper, and I'm wearing his shirt. This is his comic book company. This is his comic book company. Islam. This is his comic book company, a black-owned comic book company. Even though he's libertarian, it's like, that don't bother me much. Who are you arguing with? I hope you ain't. Who arguing with? Charlie Kirk. Why is Charlie Kirk mentioned? But anyway, I'm off type. I'm off track. Off topic. Listen, go with what you will. Unless you own and control some shit, you ain't got shit. And I'm talking systematically. Where you're, as Umar Fatunde always put it, unless you own and control some shit systematically, and if you look around, and by the way, the woman in I think it was Dallas, Texas. There are 2 women in Dallas, Texas, were ready to pop because they were on their last trimester and they were expanding, getting ready to give birth to some kids. Didn't even get the treatment that they deserve. And one of them had to have a baby in their car. Where are your hospitals? There was a 37-month or 37-week old pregnant woman on a plane. And this man had the nerve to say, due to the weight. Like, no, my wife ain't leaving to go no fucking where. My wife ain't leaving to go nowhere. Where are your airports? Bill Gates wants to poison the crops and the soil for you to grow your own food. Where are your distributions? Don't talk to me about no damn culture and what we don't. If we don't own and control some shit, I don't want to hear shit else about culture. Throw that shit in the fucking garbage.